The colony on Terthus 9 had been a monument to interspecies cooperation, until the ground decided otherwise. The seismic event lasted 47 seconds, but those seconds transformed gleaming structures into twisted metal graves. Emergency beacons pierced the dust-choked air as rescue teams scrambled through the rubble, searching for survivors. Riven moved through the destruction with practiced efficiency, thermal scanner in one hand, pry bar in the other. The human had seen collapsed buildings before, too many times on too many worlds. Earth's tendency to build in earthquake zones had given humanity generations of hard-earned expertise in pulling people from impossible places. That knowledge had made humans valuable across the galaxy, though Riven suspected most species wished they'd never needed to learn why. The scanner flickered, detecting a heat signature beneath a particularly nasty pile of structural beams. Riven crouched, pressing a gloved hand against the debris. There a faint vibration. Something alive, something breathing. Command, I've got a possible survivor in Sector 7. Riven spoke into the comm, requesting support team. Negative, Riven, all teams committed. You're on your own for another 20 minutes minimum. Riven grimaced. 20 minutes could be a lifetime under tons of collapsed building. Understood. Going in, the human began the delicate work of shifting debris, each piece carefully assessed before removal. One wrong move could trigger a cascade, crushing whatever lay beneath. Riven had learned this lesson in the ruins of New Jakarta, watching a rookie make a fatal mistake. The memory kept the human's hands steady even as sweat dripped into eyes. A sound emerged from below, a whimper, high-pitched and terrified. Hey, Riven called down. Can you hear me? I'm here to help. Silence, then a tiny voice. Trembling. Hurt. Everything hurts. The translator identified the language as Keltheran, one of the predator species that had joined the galactic community 3 decades prior. Riven's jaw tightened. The Keltherans were apex predators on their homeworld, evolved from pack hunters with reflexes like lightning and strength that made them formidable. But their young were fragile, dependent on their family groups for survival far longer than human children. My name is Riven. What's yours? Naru. Okay, Naru, I'm going to get you out, but I need you to stay very still. Can you do that for me? My leg. I can't feel my leg. Riven worked faster, ignoring the protest of muscles as the human lifted a beam that should have required 2 people. Another piece cleared, and finally a gap appeared, barely large enough to see through. In the darkness below, 2 eyes reflected the human's helmet light, wide with terror and pain. Naru was smaller than Riven had expected, perhaps equivalent to a human 8-year-old. The cub's gray fur was matted with dust and blood, and one leg lay at an unnatural angle beneath a support beam that would take equipment to move. Equipment Riven didn't have. Naru, listen to me carefully. I can see you now, and I'm going to get you out. But that beam on your leg, I need to lift it, and it's going to hurt. Do you understand? The cub's ears flattened against its skull. I'm scared, I know. Being scared is okay. Being scared means you're smart enough to understand danger. Riven repositioned, finding the best angle. But here's what I know about Keltherans. You're tough. Your people survived the ice wars, right? They survived the Red Famine. You've got that strength in you. My mother says humans are weak. She says you break too easily. Riven laughed, a sound without humor. Your mother isn't wrong. Humans are weak. We're slower than Keltherans, weaker than Torgathi. We can't breathe in half the atmospheres in the galaxy without help. But you know what we're really good at? What? We're stubborn. We don't know when to quit. Riven gripped the beam, muscles bunching. Now on 3, 1, 2, 3. The human heaved, physics and leverage and sheer determination combining as the beam lifted. Naru screamed, a sound that would haunt Riven's dreams for weeks. But the cub was already moving, dragging itself forward with its front legs as the injured limb trailed behind. The beam was impossibly heavy. Riven's vision began to darken at the edges, but the human held on, watching as Naru crawled inch by agonizing inch toward freedom. Almost there. Just a few more seconds. Naru cleared the beam's shadow. Riven let it drop and collapsed, gasping. For a moment, neither moved. Then Riven crawled forward into the gap, reaching down. The opening was too narrow for the human to fit through completely, but an arm could just barely extend into the space where Naru lay. Take my hand, Riven said. Naru stared at the offered hand, small compared to Keltheran adults, with fingers instead of claws looking impossibly fragile. Everything the cub had been taught said humans were prey animals not to be trusted, certainly not to be relied upon in moments of crisis. But that hand had lifted the beam. That hand had stayed when it could have walked away. Naru's small paw wrapped around Riven's fingers. The extraction took another 10 minutes of careful maneuvering, with Riven guiding Naru through the twisted maze of debris. The human's voice remained constant, steady, talking about nothing and everything. Earth's oceans, the taste of chocolate, the sound of rain on a metal roof. Anything to keep the cub focused on something other than pain. When Naru finally emerged into open air, the cub collapsed against Riven's chest, shaking. The human held the small body carefully, mindful of injuries, and activated the medical beacon. Command, I've got the survivor. Juvenile Keltherin. Suspected fractured femur, possible internal injuries. Requesting immediate medical evac. Copy that, Riven. Transport inbound. Good work. Naru looked up at the human with eyes that had seen too much for one so young. You came back for me. Of course I did. Why? I'm not your species. I'm not even your friend. Riven's expression softened behind the helmet's visor. That's exactly why. Because needing help doesn't care about species. Because being trapped and scared and hurt, that's universal. And because the human paused, finding the words. Because that's what we do, humans. We see someone in trouble and we reach down. We extend a hand. Sometimes it's all we've got, but we give it anyway. The medical transport descended through the dust clouds, its lights cutting through the gloom. As the medics rushed forward to take Naru, the cub's grip on Riven's hand tightened for just a moment. Thank you, Naru whispered. Riven squeezed back gently. Stay tough, kid. As they loaded Naru onto the transport, Riven stood and surveyed the ruins. The scanner was already picking up another heat signature. Another person trapped in the dark, waiting for someone to reach down. The human checked the pry bar, adjusted the helmet, and started walking toward the next signal. There was more work to do. There was always more work to do, but that was fine. Humans were stubborn like that. They didn't know when to quit.